Hi there.
You're in. All right. I want to welcome everybody to the Shining Light video podcast, where I shine a light on my guests and the positivity they're spreading in their communities. My guest today has been a real estate agent, a real estate salesperson for over 10 years. She's worked in small markets and in large markets such as Chicago and in New York City. Today, she'll share or shine a light on what the real estate market looked like before the COVID crisis and what she's doing today in order to overcome this isolation. Please welcome my guest, Sylvia Edwards. Welcome, Sylvia.
Hello. Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. So, Sylvia, can you share with us a little bit about before the COVID crisis and this isolation that we're all dealing with, what the real estate market in New York City looked like? And just for all of our viewers out there, I know I have a lot of Hudson Valley viewers. Sylvia Edwards is a real estate salesperson down in New York City, and she's going to just shine a light as to what it looked like prior to all of this.
Well, prior to all of this, Michael, I think it was good. It definitely was good. Now it's, people are being a little bit trepidatious in what they want to sell, and if they want to sell, is it a good time? Get into the stock market as well. A lot of clients depend on the stocks. And we know from what's going on with that it's been up and down and back and forth, and we're just not sure.
Right.
So there are a lot of people who are dependent upon that and pulling cash out of the stock market to purchase properties. And before, of course, it was easier to pull it out. Now the stock has tanked and they're waiting for it to come back up, and what happens? So we're all kind of in a holding pattern. That's right. What I'll say. Although within the last week or so, last couple of weeks, I'll say that my phone has been ringing nonstop in terms of people who want to sell. They need their cash. So do I have any buyers who are looking for investment properties? So they're wanting to sell. I mean, that's good for me, of course, on my end, and people who are wanting to get out. So I'm actually, I feel like I'm busier now than earlier in the year, because people are, it's February, March, people are really coming back from still their winter breaks, and the kids coming back from school breaks, and the closings are happening, some that were already in the process. So this was the pickup time. Right about March is the pickup time into our really busy season before the summer hits and it slows a little bit then.
Wow. Yeah. And you said you're busier now, and I find that interesting because I think a lot of people, you're in the service industry, I'm in the service industry as an insurance agent, and right. I find that speaking to a lot of people in our industries, even though business maybe has gone down in terms of sales, we are finding right. ourselves to be a lot busier in terms of handling a lot of questions, client management, and a lot of things like what you just talked about. I mentioned that you worked in markets such as Chicago and in New York City. I would love to hear a little bit of story about how you kind of got started in the real estate industry and got your feet wet in Chicago even.
Well, that was quite accidental. A best friend to college, she started me in mortgages, and it just kind of snowballed or blossomed from there, I should say. We started mortgages. I ended up going to another friend who had a brokerage company. And now I'm telling my age. Back in the day, you could actually work in Chicago without a license under a broker. So I did that for quite some time. I sold out, if anybody's familiar with Chicago, I sold out the old Montgomery Ward building, which is turned into these beautiful apartments and condos. It's mixed. They're just gorgeous at this point. But that's been some years back. And fast forward, I moved to work in other industries, and I found myself right back in real estate as somebody referred me to another company to do real estate. I was like, I guess this is what I'm supposed to be doing for the rest of my life. So I am back in.
What was your big draw to real estate? What drew you in at both times?
New York is different. New York is different. I love showing apartments here. I don't even care about the clients. Just kidding. I want to see the apartments for myself because the condos and what people do, the architecture, it's so beautiful here. Every apartment is different. You cannot say you've seen everything. You can't. Everything here, every condo, every co-op is different. I'm based primarily in Manhattan. Most of my work is in Manhattan, although I do Brooklyn as well, Williamsburg, East Williamsburg, South Williamsburg now. North Williamsburg is good. But Manhattan is it's a beast all in itself. You can be in the West Village, East Village, Upper West Side, Upper East Side. It's just every aspect is different. So the buildings, the architecture. When I find a spot for my clients, I think I'm more excited than they are because I'm like, this is it. It's like,
It's like being an exotic car salesperson.
It is, but an exotic luxury home buyer.
Exactly.
So yes, it's really good. I love what I do. Every day is different. I mean, I can plan my days out the best way I know how, but every single day is different. It is, you can wake up in the morning and think that you are going to be showing 5 apartments, but this day it's raining and the client will call and you don't really want to show them either the best light. So, that could just completely change. And then you're on the phone, conference calls, or the deals happen or the deals don't happen. Right, so that is the downside of it.
I just want to reintroduce you. I am here with Sylvia Edwards. She's been a real estate salesperson for over 10 years, and she worked in markets such as Chicago and now in New York City. And she's just shining a light on her knowledge, her expertise, and we're going to be talking about some of the unique ways that she's showing apartments today in this isolation. You spoke about New York City and the cool architecture and everything, and it's got such a rich history, and it's so cool. And I know that you love to be able to walk into these awesome apartments and these condos and check out the architecture, as you were just saying, and the views, I'm sure, are just truly phenomenal. And before this isolation, you were able to just pack your bag, walk down the street, jump on the subway or the bus, and show these beautiful apartments and condos to everyone. But today, that's a little bit different. And you and I spoke a little bit about some of the things that you're doing in order to overcome this. Could you share with our viewers here today as to what you're doing to overcome being able to show an apartment physically to people?
Let's talk about that. I'll start with, I no longer take the subway. I walk to showing apartments, or I take the city bikes. Shout out to city bikes now in New York City. Yep. I'll take a city bike, and luckily, the blocks in Manhattan are very quick. They're short blocks. Mm-hmm. We're from east to west. It's only 2.5 miles. So it's very easy to get around in Manhattan. Most of my work right now has been based on the Upper East Side, which is where I reside. So it's very easy for me to get around. And then after that, it's the virtual tours. Or there have been a couple of people who are okay with me showing in person. But the virtual tours are, I will take my trusty phone in and we'll either FaceTime with the client and show them that way, or I will talk them through exactly what they're seeing, what I see, and they see it in real time. So just like they were there. We have done that once or twice before for international buyers before they come into town, but now it's kind of an everyday process.
Yeah, and because it's a virtual tour, and you have to imagine that a lot of home buyers, I would say almost 99.9% want to be able to walk through the property and be able to touch things physically. But as you just spoke about, is that you deal with a lot of international buyers, and there are a lot of international buyers, not just in New York City, but in the Hudson Valley region. In, I'm sure, Chicago, you dealt with the same thing. So you have people that have done this for a very long time before this isolation, that buy without having to physically be there. What would you say are maybe your top 3 tips for somebody making a decision like that virtually rather than being able to come in physically?
Well, the first tip is trust your broker. You have to have trust in your broker. That's 1, 2, and 3. You definitely have to trust that your broker is telling you the truth, that the photos that they're seeing are real, that they're not going to.
I'm sorry, we're losing you. We lost you again a little bit there. So you said, and the photos are real, and the photos are not.
The photos that are sure that they're real, that they're
not doctored up, they're not photoshopped.
Real, true photos. That's not doctored up. It's not a staged photo at all. You want to make sure that the electrical is working. You want to make sure the air conditioning unit is actually working, that it's not a loud system. And what they're seeing outside of their apartment is very important as well. So you want to make sure that if they're getting a penthouse, that across the rooftop or just outside their window is a building. So you have to, like I said, the top 3 tips: trust your broker, and trust your broker. If you don't have that relationship with your might be a problem
down the road. Yeah. And, I'm so sorry. I think on your internet feed is cutting out a little bit here and there, but I was able to catch the gist of most of what you said. And just to reintroduce you a little bit, I'm here with Sylvia Edwards, who's been a real estate salesperson for over 10 years. She's worked in markets such as Chicago and now in New York City. And we were just talking about her top 3 tips for being able to buy or purchase an apartment, a home, whatever it is that you're looking to purchase virtually, her top 3 tips. And all 3 of them are trust your broker. And I'll speak a little bit more to that point, is that in the service industry, it is really, really important to trust the person that you're working with, more so than the product. It's more important to build a relationship with let's say Sylvia, your salesperson, with myself, with whoever it is in the service industry. The relationship that you build with that person, what you need to realize if you're listening to this, is that the questions that we ask you, that Sylvia asks you, are to get to know you so that you can have that trust in her. So when she's touring an apartment in the city or a condo or whatever it is that you're looking at virtually, she knows what you like and what you don't like because you have built a strong relationship with her. And another tip that she put out there, I know that we have several photographers, real estate photographers in our chat room right now, Tom Duggan, and I just saw HV Drones come in, and anybody else out there who's listening, is something else that she mentioned is it's not just the apartment or the condo or the home that you're showing virtually. You're also showing the views, the surrounding areas, the neighborhood, what's down the street, what's up the street. All of that is really important to that buyer as well. And that's something else that Sylvia has touched upon. Sylvia, you and I spoke a little bit prior to this. First of all, I want to also give a shout out to our friend Guy Stanley Filoche, who put us in touch with each other and spoke so highly about you and how amazing of a person you are. But we spoke a little bit prior to this, and we were just talking about what do we see, what do you see, and I want to ask you, what do you see as a positive outcome from this situation, whether as a real estate broker that you are, or just as you, Sylvia, what do you see as the positive outcome from this isolation that we're all experiencing?
Well, Michael, that's a really great question. I think what a positive outcome from this is, it's really up to each individual person. I'll speak to myself first and then to the industry. I think you have to do as much as possible to stay positive, whether that's working out, whether that is reading, whether that is FaceTime, that you want to stay in contact with to reach out. You can't just stay isolated by yourself. And I really kind of shy away from the word. I'd actually rather use the word quarantine than isolation, because isolation brings about the word loneliness after that. Right. So you want to, I know we have to stay 6 feet away from each other. I saw this book club online with these ladies who they live in a building. They live on the same floor and they live a few doors down from each other. So they sit in there drinking, discussing their books for their book club, which I thought was really sweet as well. So things like that. For me personally, running is my outlet and it releases endorphins. I love meditation. I still log on, thankfully, to my church, French church, Saint Esprit, here in Manhattan. So I log on to them daily. We have a 9:15 and a 6 o'clock prayer. So that definitely helps me. For the industry, I would definitely say a positive outcome is we're all reimagining what it's going to look like afterwards, whenever this after is going to happen. I don't think too much will change, but I do think, my industry, real estate, we do, sometimes the buyers don't show up. Sometimes the sellers don't show up for the closings anyway. So we're kind of used to that, having not so many people in the room when you're doing the closing. We're doing virtual closings now. I've had other colleagues who have done virtual. I haven't had the pleasure just yet to do a virtual closing just yet, but looking forward to it. But you have to be logged on to, you just have to be more in tune with, I can't believe I'm saying this, but to the computer, your DocuSign, Venmo, wire transfers, all of that. I mean, we're kind of already there, but it is that personal touch that makes everything so much better, or you feel, or you have that feeling of closeness to people. So I think that's one of the things that's the positive outcome of this is we'll just reimagine how we can do business better.
Yeah. And I'm here with Sylvia Edwards, who's been a real estate salesperson for over 10 years, working in markets such as Chicago and New York City. And we're just talking about how the positive impact that this, and I like how you said, using a word like quarantine rather than isolation, thinking about the connotations that different words have on people's mental health. And speaking of mental health, one of the positives that Sylvia just touched upon is our mental health, is that she's getting out, she's running, exercise, reading, reconnecting, recharging. I've spoken about this several times. We've had many of my guests speak about the same thing, the recharging, getting home and recharging and being able to work on ourselves in this time of quarantine, as you mentioned. And the other thing that you mentioned as a positive is also all of us learning the digital space a little bit better. It's something that we've needed to do. It's something that a lot of major marketers, somebody I follow very intensely is Gary Vee, and he speaks about that all the time, about getting to learn the digital space, the social media space, and even the virtual space in terms of virtual reality. He speaks about a lot and learning that stuff. So that's also another positive outcome that Sylvia is talking about, is that we're reconnecting in those places and learning these new platforms, which are part of our future. So it's a good thing to learn right now. Sylvia, another thing that I like to shine a light on are acts of kindness and generosity that you may have witnessed, seen, heard of. Have you seen anything in the New York City community that you're witnessing right now?
Well, Michael, I've seen one or two, but I really tried to adhere to the stay inside,
right.
The rules of that. I have to say, when I do go outside, oh my gosh, let me get my gloves, let me get my mask, let me get this.
Put my hazmat on.
You have to put your hazmat on, besides grabbing your phone, remembering your keys, all of that on top of it,
right.
which is
challenging.
It's challenging in itself.
I'm going to help you out a little bit with one of the acts of kindness and generosity. Our friend, Guy Stanley Filoche, put out a video where he is offering, or I don't know if it's still going on right now, but he offered to buy art from local artists because he was shining a light on the local artists who are suffering from this quarantine, is that they can't get out, they can't sell, they can't push their art and be able to just earn enough income to just keep the lights on and buy groceries for their families. So what Guy Stanley Filoche did was he started an initiative for himself. Instead of buying himself a prize for having a great year, what he did was he took that money and he's reinvesting it in local artists and buying art from them. So reach out to him. I don't know if he's still doing it, but I thought that was just an amazing thing. And I actually had him on the podcast in order to shine a light on him. And big shout out to Guy Stanley Filoche. He does phenomenal artwork. I love all of his pieces. Yeah. One day when I hit it big, I'm going to buy one of them.
Agreed. You and me both. One day I'll purchase one as well. One day soon, hopefully. I've seen some people doing different acts of kindness. I mean, there are people who are helping out elderly. I mean, I know myself, I try and call and check on a couple people from my church just to make sure that they're okay. Maybe they have family there, maybe they don't. Try and walk someone's pet for them because they are on the front lines. They're in the medical field. I've checked on nurses that I know. A friend of mine who's pregnant, and she is a nurse and at Mount Sinai. So I mean, she's still going in. Yes, she's still going in, and I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to make those decisions. But there've been a few acts of kindness that I've seen of food being taken to elderly people, or food being taken to people who just don't have it anymore. Right. I mean, it's been pretty much almost a month at this point that we've been, so to speak, quarantined, and people are running out of money. Right. I mean, I've seen statistics where they say people only have $400 worth of savings, and for a lot of people, that's what it is. Right. I mean, you have celebrities that come on and they're trying to help. I've seen generous donations from some celebrities, but it's got to trickle down. I don't know how we get it to trickle down.
I don't know either. I don't have the answer. The only thing we can do is, something where you're asking about trickle down. The only thing we can do is support each other. And that's the reason for this podcast, for the Shining Light video podcast that I do, is that I want to shine a light on our local business communities. And those local business communities can be anywhere, as you know. I'm in the Hudson Valley. You're down in New York City. It doesn't matter. It's really all about being able to help each other out and remembering that the restaurants are suffering, the retail shops are suffering, and even the service industries like ourselves are suffering. So it's all about helping our business communities, helping each other out, and bringing us all up. Something else that you mentioned in there as an act of kindness and generosity that doesn't cost you anything is just calling friends, families, loved ones, and elderly people. I just had a great conversation yesterday with a friend from the gym. He's 85 years old. I gave him a call. Just wanted to check on him. I said, hey, how's it going? He said, thank you so much. We had a great conversation. The whole point of me bringing that up is that when we left the conversation, he was just so appreciative, and you could tell his spirits were lifted. So you don't have to spend any money to do an act of kindness or generosity. Just call somebody, and especially the elderly who right now are much more quarantined than ourselves. They may not be able to go out for a jog like Sylvia, or a run, actually, like Sylvia did. I've seen your pictures. You're a runner for sure.
I've done a marathon or two in my day. So I have full marathons, but just a half.
Well, you know what? I have a friend, Tom Talix Media. He's been on this podcast a few times, and he's a runner. And he does a podcast called the Something Good Podcast, or Some Good Podcast on iTunes. And he spoke about running, and that runners are very specific. They don't go out for a jog, they go for a run, and that's very important.
We do go out for a run.
That's right. Very important to know. Sylvia, you are down in New York City, and I know that you're a traveler, and you're somebody who is all over the place. What's a place right now, a business, a local business that you miss, that you wish that you could walk through today, tomorrow, and just say, I'm back, come on, I want to come in?
Oh, there's a few places. it's not, one is not a business. It is my church. I do miss my church community, my French church. I am in the process of learning French, and my church is all in French, is Saint Esprit. And I do miss my living room hair salon, of course. Say hello, hi to Chris and Shy. I'm sure everybody there is missing them. I'm also missing Sojourn, which is a restaurant, I would love to go into and get my cheesecake from. A little tip there. They have the best blueberry cheesecake.
Can you just give them a shout out? What's the name and where they are?
They are, Sojourn is on 79th between 2nd and 3rd, and Living Room Hair Salon is 81st and 1st. That Chris is my stylist, and he is absolutely amazing. Of course, you can't tell right now, but when I get back there, I'm sure it's going to look amazing. But those places are for everybody. The restaurants. One of the things I'm trying to do once a week at least is order out in typical restaurants that are open. I do like to cook myself, so that's been one of the things that I've been doing while at home is cooking all these different recipes. But I do try and make a point at least once or twice a week to definitely order out from a restaurant or two, neighborhood restaurant, that they're keeping going. Or if I go, I try to go pick up a cupcake. Can you tell there's a pattern here? I like sweets. Well, I do like sweets.
Well, it's a good thing you're a runner because you look great.
Yes, exactly. That's why I run. I don't run for any other health benefits, but to make sure I can keep the calories off.
Keep up your sweet habit.
Exactly.
Well, thank you for that. So today, I want to just shine a light again. Today, my guest, Sylvia Edwards, has been a real estate salesperson for over 10 years, working in markets such as Chicago and now New York City. She has been able to overcome this quarantine by providing virtual tours for her clients. It's something that she's done previously with international clients, and she's doing today for her regular clients. Some of her tips are definitely build a great relationship with your real estate salesperson, with any type of service salesperson. But I'll say this, my tip would be give Sylvia a call, because she's obviously somebody who's very easy to speak with and somebody that you can learn a lot from. So I would say give Sylvia a call, learn some about her, learn about the New York City market and what she has to offer down there. She has a lot of experience, and virtual tours, and any photographers out there, take some tips from what she just said was, when you're doing a virtual tour, don't just take a picture of the apartment or the house, take a picture of the entire neighborhood. Sylvia, I'd like to just give you one last minute to shine a light on you and the way people can contact you. Could you please share that with us, please?
Michael, thank you so much for this opportunity. And I think what you're doing, and the name of your podcast is Shining a Light. And I know you're shining a light on people. We all just need to reach out to each other and help each other. And I think that's one of the positives that will come out of this COVID-19. I don't know what happened to 1 through 18, but
right.
This COVID-19 crisis that we're going through is trying to keep a smile on people's faces. Thank you again so much. My number, you can just call me direct, is 917-612-6579. I live by my cell phone, so as all real estate agents do. But you can find me there. You can just give me a call, and we'll go from there.
And your Instagram handle?
Real Sylvia Estate Pro.
Real Sylvia Estate Pro. You can find her there. Again, Sylvia Edwards. She is a real estate salesperson for over 10 years experience. She's really great and obviously very easy to speak with. And as she said, it's all about building a relationship. And I think this is an easy one to have, right? Sylvia, thanks so much for being on the show today. I want to thank everybody for being, for watching, for listening. I know that we've had some viewers from Chicago. Sylvia has friends out there, West Coast, everywhere. Please, I want to shine the light on your business, on your local community. It's all about that, helping each other out and bringing us all back together. Sylvia, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it. And good luck. And I wish you the best to sign in your first virtual closing soon.
Thank you so much.
Bye,
I
everyone.
appreciate it. We'll talk to you soon.
Very cool. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.